But let's talk a bit about the coronation, because there's one name that has not really been mentioned over the course of the last 48 hours or so. Front pages this morning have got some lovely pictures of Kate and William tasting the coronation beer in the Dog and Duck in Soho, sitting on the Elizabeth line like two ordinary commuters travelling on public transport into the centre of London. We've seen already King Charles getting out and walking about and talking to people. We've seen the rehearsals going on. We've seen the coaches. We've seen some of the regalia, some of the military precision that's going to be practised on the day. We've seen Big Ben lit up with all manner of different designs. We've seen incredible sizes of crowds just walking around in London at the moment, waiting for the coronation to happen. And it is going to be a significant event. But the one name that hasn't been mentioned in all of this is one Prince Harry. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't mind the name hasn't come up. I don't mind that the name hasn't been mentioned. I don't mind that we're not supposedly talking about him every single minute of the day. But it just seems to me to be a little bit odd that we haven't spoken about him at all. For one, we don't even know if he's here. For two, we don't even know how he's getting here, whether he's coming on a private jet or whether he's going to, in Leonardo DiCaprio's words, fly commercial. How is he going to get to Windsor? Is he even staying in Windsor? Because he can't stay at Frogmore Cottage, I don't think, because I think it may well be that there might be other people there, like Beatrice and Eugenie, for example. Is he staying at Prince Andrew's gaff? Who knows? If he even talks to Prince Andrew, presumably his wife doesn't let him. There's no sign of her either, and she hasn't said anything for about 2.5 hours. Normally she's speaking about something whenever there's a royal event. But Harry, we're told, is going to leave after the coronation itself some hours later. He says he's got to get home for his son's birthday. There are some people suggesting he might not even come at all. He might just snub the whole thing. He certainly doesn't appear to want to be on the balcony with the rest of the royal family. I said last night on the talk, maybe he should sit with Ant and Dec in the showbiz section, because he's not actually really in the royal family anymore. I wonder where Prince Harry is. I wonder why he hasn't shown his face. Is he in hiding? Is he even here? Is he even coming? If you see him, please make sure you let me know. Here's the number, 0344 499 1000. We'll call it the Harry hotline to the Independent Republic. Bring it home. Is he bringing a gift? Do you even bring a gift? What's going on? Rupert Bell is here, talks political... he's a royal correspondent, actually. He's not a political correspondent. He's live from Westminster Abbey, though. Rupert, very good morning to you.
I'll stick to being royal correspondent.
Yes,
Thank
very
you
wise.
Much, Mike. Good morning.
It's much more interesting, I have to say. I'm being bored stiff by this talk of local elections.
Well, there's a lot going on our front. And Jonathan Dimbleby, remember, he wrote the biography of the King,
yes.
Basically after the Diana interview. It was his comeback, as it were, and telling what was going on. And Jonathan Dimbleby, a long-standing friend of the King, so it's been quite interesting. The King is very sort of realistic, and I think Jonathan Dimbleby is trying to reflect that he doesn't want everybody sort of I don't know, paying homage, but of course there is the chance to pledge allegiance tomorrow, yes, if you wish, right, as part of the service. And I can imagine if you've gone to a big screen, wherever it is, that people might, the way of feeling part of the service. But it is very much a voluntary decision if you want to, yes, pledge your allegiance.
I will not be
to the
pledging
King
my
as
allegiance.
Part of the service.
And just in case you're interested, well, I won't be.
Well, that's fine, and that's what the King would want. I'm not to judge. It's a free world, as you keep reminding us, Mike. So
it is.
Everyone has a choice, but I think it's in the sort of television era, I suppose it's a very simple way, if you are so minded, to do it. And perhaps people who go to a big screen and have made the effort to go there, they are presumably like-minded. So I will be interesting to see how that sort of plays out at the various big screenings around the country. Obviously in London there's ones at Hyde Park, Green Park, and various other locations around the country. I know at the Badminton Horse Trials they've got a big screen there between the competition, where people will be able to congregate down by the lake, and you could imagine that maybe those people there might be so minded.
Yes, absolutely right. And I'm told there's a lot of medals going to be handed out to members of the armed forces and frontline sort of service workers over the course of this weekend.
Yeah, I think I heard a very large number. I may have got the figure wrong, but I heard something like 400,000 people might be honoured as a result. And again, I suppose it is a reflection of the King trying to make people feel included and understanding the good work that many people may have done over recent years, and a way of paying tribute to them, because that's very much what he wants to do. And look, he's just left the Westminster Abbey behind me from his final rehearsal.
Yes.
He left just 10 minutes ago to come here, and we know that the congregation is a much more varied congregation than when it was back in 1953, when they had 8,000 people crammed into the Abbey, just 2,000, but from this 2,000 there's a much more varied pool of people coming to the service.
Yeah, absolutely right. And there's been a few sort of things happening. Charles is busy, isn't he? Because he's not just doing all these rehearsals. In between, he's meeting people, he's having conversations with various indigenous groups from countries where Britain was thought to have done something terrible to them. He's also having, I think, some Commonwealth heads of government meetings as well. So I don't know if he's finding the time to have a bit of a lie down.
Well, he's got 3 more things going on now. He's got a reception now at Buckingham Palace. Then he's going to go to Marlborough House for a meeting of Commonwealth heads and representatives of the Commonwealth countries. And then he's got a big reception later on this evening for all the others who are coming in, plus the Commonwealth as well, I believe. So he's got 3 big meetings in front of him, but actually probably in some ways they could be just as important as in terms of for Britain, because that is what he does, which is the soft power element of his role, of being able to meet and greet all the leaders. And obviously from a behind the scenes, I am sure there are various government meetings, and they're probably only too happy to get away from watching the television and the poll results, so they can go and have meetings with various heads of states and get on with the matters in hand, rather than feeling all gloomy after watching what happened last night to the present incumbents in Westminster.
Quite. I was pleased to see that yesterday they changed their minds as well on the peers of the realm, that they will indeed now be able to put on their finest ermine and wander through Westminster Abbey like characters out of a sort of an old historical novel.
Well, yes, but I probably, one of them may have, I heard a story of one who got his ermine, but he couldn't find the key to the box that he got his ermine in. So I hope he's managed to prise it open if he is turning up tomorrow afternoon. Because a lot of this go back through centuries, and many families who are represented tomorrow have been coming to the coronation for well, not quite necessarily since 1066, but many can trace the lineage back to a long way and have been always represented at the coronation. And that's why there was 1 or 2 felt their noses had been put out of joint by the fact that they weren't invited. But I think they've now accepted that health and safety only allows 2,000, and it's basically, it's the King's call. He invites who he wants.
Yes. No, I mean, you'd be horrified, wouldn't you, if you opened the box with the ermine in there and found that it had all been gnawed by moths or something. Can you imagine?
Well, I think that given some of the state of some of the stately homes, there's every chance that could happen, because a lot of them tend to be land rich and cash poor, so and the heating bills are a bit of a problem for them. So hopefully, though, the ones turning up tomorrow have managed to get them suitably dried, cleaned, restored, so that they can be looking resplendent in their robes of honour.
Indeed. Now, the one question I have for you, which you may or may not be able to answer, is where on earth is Prince Harry? I asked this question earlier this morning. So far, nobody's spotted him. Is he even here?
I haven't. We call him at the moment the lesser spotted Harry, but I'm sure we will be spotting him at some stage. Here's my point with Harry. He is keeping out of the spotlight because he doesn't want him, even on the final day before his father's crowning moment, to be the story. Look, he'll be in, out and back on a plane pretty sharpish, but we won't see much of him during the coronation because, you know, the coverage will be very much focused on what is happening to the King and all the elements of the service, and they won't be suddenly giving you a close-up of Prince Harry, but it will just be a general shot because it will be staged managed. Every picture and TV shot will be staged managed, but remember, it's about the King and nobody else tomorrow, and the Queen as well, who will also be crowned once he has been.
Yes. It's going to be fascinating to watch, really, because, I mean, you've probably watched it, but I don't think I've ever actually watched the entire service of the 1953 coronation. You know, I can't imagine why I didn't, but, you know, I just have never got around to it. So there'll be things that I'll be seeing tomorrow that I've never seen.
Well, let's be honest, most of us. Look, it was 3 hours, that service, so it's quite a test. But it will be a variation on a theme. You know, the fact is, you can trace elements of this service back to the 900s.
Yeah.
So, and the way it's evolved, and obviously 1066 when William the Conqueror was crowned here. And since then, there have been 38 further monarchs crowned in this building, and tomorrow, obviously, if I've got my maths right, the King will be the 40th.
Yes, I believe so.
It's... And you trace it all the way through the way it has evolved to what it's going to be tomorrow. And there are differences. You know, we will have a sermon which is new to the, and then we'll be singing in Greek in honour of Prince Philip and his family. And so that's the King's way of being aware of his full roots, not just on his mother's side. We'll hear songs in Welsh. So it's very much a different service, but at the heart of it, the crowning and the anointing is very similar to what has happened in previous years.
And a low update yet, I presume, on the fly past, because it's difficult to say. I mean, the sky, the cloud ceiling today seems to be quite high. I reckon I could see reasonably far out into Essex, if that's where you want to look.
At the moment, I would say they would be giving it a go, go, go. But I think tomorrow they'll be waking up and keeping an eye, and they'll be hoping, as they say, the weather clears for maybe an hour, so that they have to sort of meet up and do a holding pattern, and then they fly over Buckingham Palace. And clearly tomorrow, after the coronation, after the procession, then after the salute inside Buckingham Palace Gardens, he comes out on the balcony, and part of that sort of moment, not only waving to everybody in front of him, is the fly past, which sort of signals the end of the major events tomorrow.
Yes, and then that's around about, what, 2:30-ish, as far as we know?
2:30-ish, weather permitting. He gets back from the coronation at about 1:33,
yes.
To be precise, if everything goes correctly. Takes the salute inside the Buckingham Palace Gardens, and then we'll come back out, regroup, and come back out onto the balcony around about 2:15, they say.
Yes.
That will be happening tomorrow afternoon, and then the fly past, as we say, weather permitting.
Yes, and then, of course, the real events get underway with Kevin O'Sullivan and myself, 3 p.m. on TalkTV. Show not to be missed. We're calling it the After Party, with an unofficial name of the Royal We.
Well, what I'm told is the King can't wait to watch it.
I'm sure.
Because he'll be putting up.
He'll be in need of a good laugh by then.
Well, he might need a stiff drink by then, probably, because he might be absolutely cream crackered. But what he might be doing, he might be settling down to watch. He hasn't got any runner in the 2,000 guineas, but he does have some runners, I think, at Newmarket tomorrow. So he may. Well, hello. There's a crack of thunder just coming. That was thunder.
Crikey.
And there's a big black cloud currently over the building next to me, so we may be getting some thunderstorms in a moment.
Wow. You should be counting. You should be counting till you see the lightning, and then you'll know how far away it is. You know how to do that, right?
Well, I learnt that at school. Yes, but at the moment I can't see any lightning. But I'm just wondering whether we get another spectacular rumble of thunder.
You might need to get off the roof. Are you the highest point there?
No, there are bits higher.
That's good.
I can assure you.
Excellent.
But I've got a metal roof in front of me. Oh my goodness me!
You might need to get out of the way.
Me and Tyler may be hot-footing it away from here fairly sharply.
Yeah,
Tyler
good.
being my cameraman.
One final question for you: is there an official coronation drink? Because we're going to have some libations tomorrow on the show. I just wonder what we should be having.
Well, there is a surprise. No, I don't know.
Feel free to stop by, and you can share in the lavishness of it all.
Well, Mike, I'm afraid I've got to go to the Badminton horse trials, so I shall be speeding up down the M4 to go. So I'm sorry, I hate to turn down an invitation, but
we'll see at the
I am saying no.
We'll see you at the next coronation show.
Look, Oh, heck. I'll be very old then. But anyway, goodbye, Mike.
Yeah, goodbye, Rupert. Thanks. Nice to see you. Try and stay out of the way of the lightning. Don't put any umbrellas up.